Well, Eric, of course, Americans across the country are rallying to help Ukrainians, and my next guest is one of them. He is the founder of CHIRAJ, a nonprofit focused on helping the most vulnerable, and he has been treating evacuees and patients in Poland right on the Ukraine border. We're going to bring him in now, Dr. Refugee Fernando, disaster and infectious disease doctor. So, Doc, I understand you're back in India this week to collect more supplies. What supplies will you be bringing back to Poland?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And really what I'm seeing, also I'm an HIV specialist, and I'm deeply concerned. Ukraine has about 260,000 people with HIV. It's actually the second highest in Eastern Europe. People don't realize that. But I'm very concerned. So I'm in close touch with HIV clinics in Kiev, and they're really running out of supplies, chronic medications. We're also seeing people with substance abuse problems. They're missing out on their medications. It's a big, big problem. I know it's very common for people to really think about conflict-associated trauma, those kind of injuries, but really we have to be thinking about this. For example, only 50% of people with HIV in Ukraine are on therapy, so we really need to get that going. So I'm in India right now, getting together massive supplies of the most common drugs used for HIV and bringing it back to Ukraine.
Well, that's good because, as you said, you've got 260,000 people in Ukraine with HIV. You also said that there are people who have substance abuse issues. How do you help them?
Yeah, that's a big concern. When Crimea was annexed at that time, Russia actually made sure they stopped all those programs. So this is something people haven't been talking about, but, I've helped out with substance abuse patients in the past. And, once they start missing their doses of methadone or Suboxone, they go into very severe withdrawal. And that's something I'm really concerned about. There's no accurate reporting on the ground, so we really don't know the exact situation. But I really fear for these patients. We need to get treatment back. Like I said, conflict-associated trauma, everyone focuses on. But these chronic problems, we got to make sure our people are safe over there.
And when those patients go into withdrawal, how do they react? Do they become violent and perhaps a danger to people around them, or do they kind of go inside themselves?
No, they pose no threat whatsoever. Of course, as we know in the substance abuse world, once you're using heroin acutely, it's one thing. But then you go through the withdrawal phase, and people really just need that Suboxone to stay alive. They're not trying to get high anymore. They just need to keep going. And that's what I'm really concerned about, because I'm not hearing any reports of this.
Yeah, and I understand that, absolutely. I'm glad you're bringing that news to us. I do want to talk about some of the other diseases and infections that you're seeing there, and who's most vulnerable. You've laid out HIV and substance abuse. What about other diseases there that are problematic for the people who have it and also the people around them?
Yeah, this is a very troubling situation. Of course, when we see refugees congregate together, we're going to see a lot more COVID-19 infections. For example, only 35% are vaccinated. Now, let's also think a little bit deeper. So these people who are crossing over to the borders into the UK, into other parts of Europe, the COVID-19 is surging in about 19 countries in Europe. So imagine these people, these vulnerable people going into Europe and COVID-19 surging. That's going to be a big problem. Other than that, we're going to, because of this situation, the poor hygiene, water conditions, we're going to be seeing a lot more diarrhea infections, vector-borne diseases, a lot of things, So it's a very troubling time. Infectious diseases are right up there right now. The last thing I also want to mention is drug-resistant tuberculosis. Tuberculosis and HIV together, they're what's called the twin killers. So when one person has TB, it worsens HIV and vice versa. So there are a lot of these people with drug-resistant tuberculosis, some requiring intravenous drugs every day to stay alive.
Man, it's, boy, what a complication there of issues you have, because even if you're not directly infected or affected by it, because it's easily spread, you've got lots of problems that could grow. Man, Dr. Refugee Fernando, thank you very much. I hope that you are able to get all the help that you need to help those people, and you as well, sir. Please stay safe. Thank you very much for your work.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, and we'll be right back.